Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, for this particular hangout, I'm going to focus on two things. First of all, I'm going to focus on Donald Trump. I'm going to talk about his daughter, Ivanka Trump, and the issue with her emails and Donald Trump's hypocrisy. Also, I'm going to talk about some statements that Donald Trump made about an admiral. So, you all check out that. I'm going to get started in a couple of minutes. I want to give people time to tune in. And just to clarify things, I want to make statements about Donald Trump's statements dealing with this architect who was behind the capture of bin Laden. So, and this was a Navy SEAL commander. His name is William H. McRaven. So I'm going to talk about him and just Donald Trump's statements about this particular man. So just bear with me a second. I'm going to wait for people to tune in. So that's going to be the first half of the hangout. The second half is going to deal with this article by, just bear with me one second, by Cortland Malloy, entitled "Where Are Black Men in the Fight for Black Women?" And that's really going to be the focus of this particular hangout. So I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see what I'm referencing. Shout out to Hollow Ninja 10. Shout out to Water Sniper. So just bear with me one second. The first half I'm going to get through real quick. I just want to touch on some things and just call out Donald Trump for his hypocrisy and his BS. And then I'm going to get into the main subject for this particular video. Shout out to Reigning Woman. Hold on one second. So let me share my screen real quick so we can get into it. Just bear with me one second. All right, so the first issue I want to talk about is Ivanka Trump using her personal account for emails about government business. And you see this article here from CNN. This article is in the description box so that you could check it out for yourself and check out the video for yourself. But according to the Washington Post, the White House has conducted an investigation into Ivanka Trump's email usage. She used her personal email address for much of 2017. She used that email address to conduct White House business. It goes on to say this: according to emails released by the watchdog group American Oversight, Trump used her personal account to email cabinet officials, White House aides, and assistants. And the Presidential Records Act requires that all official White House communications and records be preserved. Now, in response to this controversy, her spokespeople are saying that there was no intent to avoid government servers. All of it has been preserved. And also she says that, hold on one second. And somebody else close to her basically said, Ivanka's mindset is there is no malintent. And basically, they're saying that there was no intent to avoid government servers. All of it has been preserved. And the thing that makes this a big deal is because Donald Trump made this an issue when it came to Hillary Clinton. Throughout the campaign, he was calling for Hillary Clinton to be locked up. Hold on one second. Just bear with me one second. Yeah, because you all recall, like during the campaign, he was basically using chants like "lock her up," referring to Hillary Clinton because she was in a similar situation as this, where she used her personal email address for government business. So he had crowds chanting "lock her up," and he was calling Hillary Clinton crooked Hillary and all this and that. And it turns out that his daughter was basically doing the same thing, using her personal email address to conduct government business. Now, I doubt that Donald Trump will be calling for Ivanka Trump to be locked up for doing the very same thing that he's accused Hillary Clinton of doing. So this is just another example of hypocrisy. It's another example of double standards. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And then there's this other issue involving Donald Trump that I want to talk about. And that's involving some statements that he made about William McRaven, and basically McRaven called out Donald Trump for his criticism of the media. Donald Trump was basically calling the media the enemy of the people and all this and that. And basically, McRaven said that this posed a threat to democracy, a great threat to democracy. And in response to that, Donald Trump made some very disrespectful comments about McRaven. And I'm going to get to that in 1 second. But first, let me just go back to what McRaven said. He was responding to Donald Trump's statement about, comparing the media to being the enemy of the people. So McRaven basically said that Donald Trump was the greatest threat to American democracy. His fierce attacks on the media poses a threat for democracy. And that's very important. Democracy is based on the idea of freedom of speech. And Donald Trump has cracked down on reporters and stuff like that. We saw what happened in that last press conference that Donald Trump had, where he was attacking all these people in the media. And he got into an argument with someone from CNN, and then he revoked that person's press credentials. And CNN actually had to sue Donald Trump for the right to have that particular reporter at the press briefings and stuff. So anytime you have, someone as powerful as the president attacking the media and basically trying to undermine freedom of speech, that is a threat to democracy. So McRaven made his statement about this being a threat to democracy. In response, Donald Trump, made some disparaging remarks about McRaven. He basically referred to him as a Clinton fan and as an Obama backer. And then he went on to criticize him for not capturing Osama bin Laden sooner. He went on to say this, Osama bin Laden was living in Pakistan, beautifully in Pakistan, and I guess what was considered to be a nice mansion. And then he goes on to say this. He talks about how it was right next to a military academy. Everybody in Pakistan knew he was there. And he's basically saying, well, why didn't you guys capture Osama bin Laden sooner? And he was using that basically to attack McRaven, saying that McRaven didn't get around to capturing Osama bin Laden sooner. Now, the thing that makes this statement problematic is several things. First of all, McRaven was not responsible for actually finding out where Osama bin Laden was located. That's not the role of his division, the Special Forces division. That wasn't their primary role. Their role is to capture Osama bin Laden. It was the role of the intelligence agencies to find Osama bin Laden. And, the special operations, as pointed out in this article, they're the ones who are responsible for capturing people like Osama bin Laden. So him placing the blame on McRaven is misplaced, is wrong. And also, the thing that makes it very problematic is that Donald Trump regularly criticizes military officials, despite constantly try to put it out here like he's some kind of patriot, like he's very patriotic and stuff like that. He's made statements that are critical of veterans. For instance, his statements against John McCain. John McCain, despite my disagreements with his politics and all that kind of stuff, John McCain was a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War. He was held for like 5 years. And Donald Trump made disparaging remarks about him being captured. Donald Trump has made disparaging remarks about other veterans. And on Veterans Day, instead of, going to the graves of the veterans and all that kind of stuff, this man decided not to do anything, not to attend certain events and all that kind of stuff. And because of that, he received a lot of criticism. And this is a man who, when he had an opportunity to serve his government, to actually serve in the war in Vietnam and all that kind of stuff, he went ahead and he got 5 deferments so that he would not have to serve in the war. So it's like hard to take somebody seriously that hasn't like made their own sacrifice or hasn't even, served in the military. Here he is criticizing people that risk their lives and their safety for the American people. Here he is criticizing somebody that really should be held as a hero for capturing Osama bin Laden, for leading that operation that led to the capture and death of Osama bin Laden. That's somebody that should be celebrated. But here you have Donald Trump, a man who's never served in the military, having the audacity to criticize a top-ranking military official, somebody that accomplished, a great feat by capturing Osama bin Laden. So this proves that, this man is not a patriot. His disparaging remarks about military people prove that he's not the patriot that he claims to be. He's a hypocrite. Here he is telling Hillary Clinton that she needs to be locked up, and he has his fans all riled up saying, lock her up, lock her up. And here we have a situation where his own daughter is accused of the same thing that Hillary Clinton was accused of. So I'm going to see how this plays out, and I will continue to follow these particular stories. But it is a great threat to democracy. Like, I think that McRaven was right to characterize Donald Trump's action as a threat to democracy. Anytime you want to keep out reporters from press conferences and all that kind of stuff and belittle and attack press people for asking questions, that undermines democracy. This man only wants to be surrounded by yes men, whether it's yes men in his cabinet or yes men in terms of these press conferences. And the American people deserve better than that. So I'm going to check in real quick with you all and see what you all are saying, and then I'm going to go to the main commentary that I wanted to focus on for this particular live stream. So just bear with me a second. Yeah, I just wanted to do that and, get that out of the way instead of doing 2 separate hangouts. So that's the reason why I focused on that in the first part of this hangout. Shout out to Hollow Ninja. Shout out to Water Sniper. Shout out to Rain and Woman. Shout out to Sister. Shout out to David Bowman. Shout out to Ali Emmett. Yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, as I said before, BB, and shout out to you. It's a shame that you have somebody who criticizes veterans, people who actually served in America's armed forces. But yet this man hasn't served in any forces. And when he had a chance to serve, he got deferments. Somebody like that is not worthy of respect. And as much as I disagree with some of America's foreign policy, in terms of these military actions and all that kind of stuff, I do appreciate those people who wear the uniform, and have the courage to serve their country and all that kind of stuff. I respect them, and, I wouldn't disrespect them the way Donald Trump does. I mean, Donald Trump, he has the nerve to criticize individual people who've made sacrifices. He criticized this Muslim family who had a loved one die in one of these wars, from what I remember. He criticized that family. This man criticized John McCain, as I mentioned earlier. This man has criticized other veterans. He criticized Big Raven, basically saying he didn't do his job because he didn't capture Osama bin Laden soon enough. While, Donald Trump enjoyed a life of comfort and ease when he had a chance to serve in this country, serve as a military soldier, he decided to get a deferment. But yet he wants to talk to people about patriotism. This is the same man that criticizes people like Colin Kaepernick and other protesters for not standing during the playing of the national anthem. But yet this man basically disrespects the military, and he expects people to think that he's some kind of standard for what patriotism is. The guy's a complete joke. And the fact that you have people that still support a man like this, one of the things that the conservatives are all about is supposedly patriotism and military service and all that kind of stuff. But here you have a man that regularly disrespects the military, but very few of these people are willing to speak out on it. So I just had to shout that, say something about that. Shout out to Psycho, peace to you. Yeah, and that's another thing, as Blessed One pointed out. Like, I was watching CNN and they pointed out the fact that he's never even visited a military combat zone or anything like that during his presidency. They were comparing that to people like George Bush, who went to war zones, and Barack Obama as well. But here you have a man that wants to wear patriotism on his shoulder and all that kind of stuff and pretend to be such a patriot, but he hasn't gone to any of these combat zones to visit the soldiers. This man was reluctant to visit, grave sites during Veterans Day. This man has made all these disrespectful comments about military personnel, but yet somehow people see this man as patriotic. I don't get it. I don't understand how they can view him that way. And there are photographs of him, for instance, not having his hand up to his heart during the playing of the national anthem, but he's criticizing these other, these players for protesting during the playing of the national anthem. The man is a complete hypocrite, and it's a shame that his dumb, deaf, and blind followers and fans and groupies can't see this as well. Yeah, so I just had to say that. I just had to get on here and mention that issue. Now I want to get to the main subject of this video, and this is this article by Cortland Malloy. And the reason why I decided to do this particular video is, I was watching this video that Black Up Inya, aka Chris Miller, did, where he was talking about this particular article. And as I listened to it, I just thought about how I, respectfully disagree with just about everything that he was saying about that particular article. And I just want to take out some time right now to share my views. But before I go through the article, I'm just going to give you an overview of where I stand on this issue. Here's the situation. You had Donald Trump disrespect 3 Black women reporters, referring to them as basically stupid. He called one stupid, and he said her question was stupid, and she asked a lot of stupid questions. He went on to call another respected African-American woman journalist, a loser, even though this is a woman that's had a long career as a reporter, a journalist. She's highly respected in Washington, D.C., the top of the field. But this man refers to her as a loser because she asked tough questions. And then you had this other sister who asked him whether or not he was, emboldening white supremacists by referring to himself as a nationalist. And he referred to her question as being racist. So you had those examples of him disrespecting black women. And then, as I mentioned in my video on this subject, he has called a black woman, Maxine Waters, he called her a low IQ person, basically saying that she's stupid. This man has referred to one of his former supporters, a black woman, as a dog. He called her a dog. And we know that that's just a low key way of calling her a bitch. This is what Donald Trump has done when it comes to black women. And this brother, Cortland Malloy, was basically asking, why aren't any black men speaking out against this president for treating black women this way? That's the fundamental question he asked. He basically said, well, you have a few examples of people speaking out or whatever, but there's no systematic, concerted effort online condemning this president for what he said to these black women. And I think that that's a valid point. Now, you have a couple of people like myself, I did a video on this subject. When I get a chance, if I don't forget, I'll post a link in the card so that you all can check out that video. But in looking at the videos on YouTube, I didn't see many black men on here talking about that issue at all, addressing that issue at all. As I look on my Facebook page, I didn't see many black men address that issue at all. And what prompted me to do my video where I addressed the issue is a video that I saw by this comedian, oddly enough, by the name of Earthquake, I think that's his name. And he was talking about how black men need to stand up for black women, stand up for those black women that were criticized by this president. And I strongly agree with that. I agree with his assessment. This is an issue that we need to stand up on and speak out on, because this is just an example of this man's disrespect, period. Of course, he disrespects other people. He disrespects black people as a whole. And I've cited example after example of that disrespect. And I won't go through all of that here. I just encourage people to watch my video on this subject. I'll post a link in the cards again when I get a chance to. But as I looked at many of the videos on YouTube, or, looked through my news feed of the people I'm subscribed to, hardly anyone addressed this issue. So I think that the brother Cortland Malloy makes a valid point on that. And, he is not a quote unquote simp for pointing this out. I mean, he's not, a quote unquote boule Negro. It's like, we got to get away from these labels that we throw on people and deal with the actual substance of what they're saying. And I know sometimes I get on here and I attack people, and I use certain terminology, but I also deal with the substance of what they're talking about. And this man, Cortland Malloy, I mean, for people that are familiar with him, notice that he has a long track record of speaking out on issues involving race discrimination against black people. He speaks out on police brutality. He uses his platform, which is his article in the Washington Post, to address issues of race, to address issues of racism and all that kind of stuff. He has a long, distinguished career. He was speaking out on race while a lot of these guys on YouTube were in diapers, still sipping on bottles and stuff like that. So, I just think that he deserves some respect. And his article raises a valid point about the fact that, there wasn't a defense for black women in that situation. When you look at the major civil rights organizations, only one that I'm aware of had anything to say about this, and that's the LDF, the Legal Defense and Education Fund. They are one of the few civil rights organizations that actually issued a statement shortly after Donald Trump made those disparaging remarks about black women reporters. And that organization, LDF, is headed up by a black woman. Where were all those other traditional civil rights organizations? Why didn't they have something to say about this particular situation? And if I'm wrong, please correct me. Please leave a link in the description. I mean, not in the description box, but in the comment sections to correct me. And I think that, Cortland Malloy's use of that phrase by Malcolm X is on point, because unfortunately it's true. And I'm going to go to the article right now. I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see it. And here's the article right here. And Corlin Malloy basically asked, why aren't more Black men outraged in action when President Trump insults Black women? And he cites all the examples that I mentioned before. You know, Donald Trump referring to Black women as having low IQ, calling them nasty, calling them losers, dogs, stupid, telling them to sit down, all this kind of stuff. And then he quotes Malcolm X right here. Malcolm X said, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And then he says that Malcolm X concluded by saying that a Black man should be willing to lay down his life to support and protect the Black woman. And, you know, unfortunately, that doesn't happen as often as it should. Again, as I said before, people have spoken, some Black men have spoken out about this issue, but they haven't been speaking out on this issue to the degree that they should. You know, they haven't taken this to the level of a Colin Kaepernick type of situation where you have a fierce campaign in support of in support of Colin Kaepernick. You know, there's a massive campaign in support of him. Why can't we have a similar campaign in support of these Black women reporters who were disrespected by Donald Trump? And by him disrespecting these reporters, he's disrespecting Black people. And make no mistake about it, like when he talks about being low IQ and asking stupid questions, those types of comments have racial overtones, you know, to them, undertones to them. It's racial dog whistling. That's what it is. We know that for the longest time, Black people have been stereotyped as being less intelligent than white people. We've been told that we have lower IQs than white people, etc. So by using these terms, you know, referring to people as stupid, you know, saying that she's asking stupid questions, by calling, you know, a congresswoman a low IQ person, he's basically saying that Black women are stupid and Black people, period, are stupid. But yet there was no concerted effort that I observed on social media speaking out against this, you know, in terms of Black men taking a stand against this man and his racism. Now, when I was watching Chris Miller's video, he basically said, well, Black women need to, you know, not talk to Donald Trump. They need to, you know, avoid environments where he is because we know that this man is a racist, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the fact of the matter is, these are not some people voluntarily just attending some Trump political rally. These are professional reporters. Their job is to cover the news. And just like any other reporter, they have every right to ask the president important questions that are of relevance not only to the Black community, but to America as a whole. You know, so these women were simply doing their job. They were asking him questions as reporters, as professionals. You know, they were asking questions, for instance, at the White House. You know, these are professionals asking them questions in the appropriate environment. You know, at the White House, there's supposed to be a place of respect, a place of dignity and stuff like that. But yet you had this buffoon Donald Trump disrespecting these women like that. And instead of going hard against the president, you got people questioning these Black women for being in certain environments, for a lot, you know, presenting themselves in an environment around Donald Trump, when it's their job to do so, when it's their job to question this man. So instead of criticizing these women, basically, or questioning these women for asking him questions or being around him, we need to be criticizing this president for the statements that he made about Black women. And another point that Chris Miller made in his video, he was saying, well, what do you expect black men to do and all this and that? You know, you want black men to get arrested for standing up for women and stuff like that. I mean, it's rather simple. We can use our voices, if nothing else. We can use our voices here on social media to express our outrage against Donald Trump. Just like we express our outrage on a wide range of issues, we can use our voices right here on YouTube to express our outrage against this man and his statements against black women. That's what we can do. We can use our voices on Facebook, on Twitter, and other forms of social media to express our views and our displeasure with this man. And one of the best ways that we can express our outrage against this man is by exercising our right to vote. And hopefully many of us who are listening to this particular broadcast did just that when they voted on election day, you know, this past election during the midterms. That's how you speak out against this man. And hopefully people will get a clue and actually vote in a couple of years during the presidential election and vote this man out of office and, you know, support his opponents. That's how you defeat this man. That's how you fight back against this man. That's how you stand up for black women. You know, so you stand up by voting, you stand up by educating yourself and informing yourself of the issues. You stand up by speaking out, using your voice on social media to condemn this nonsense. You know, I could imagine, like, if this man made other types of statements against other types of women, you know, he would have been condemned by, you know, men of those groups. Like when this man has made derogatory statements about white women, you've had other white men speak out against him, and you had, you know, women speak out against him. And, you know, obviously our sisters can speak out against what he's doing, but we as black men should also be speaking out against what he's doing. And not enough of us are doing that. And to acknowledge that is not to, there's nothing weak about acknowledging that. You know, by acknowledging that, we're taking responsibility and we're taking matters into our own hands, and we're trying to change the situation. So our black women won't be the ones just out here defending themselves without the support of the black man. So yeah, I think that his point is valid about this. And as I said before, like, I think that the black men who actually support this man should be ashamed of themselves. The black men that are walking around here looking like complete buffoons with those Make America Great Again hats, they should be ashamed of themselves. Because how can you support a man that has no respect for your black women or black people, period? How in the hell can you support this man? And the same is true for the black women that support this man. How can you, for instance, a Candace Owens, how can you support a man that refers to black women as nasty? You know, who calls a black woman a dog, who calls a respected black woman a loser, who calls a black woman stupid, basically, for asking some intelligent questions. How can you sit down and support this man? A man who tells a black woman to sit down when she has every right to ask him questions during a press conference. How can you stand with this man and not stand up for black women? You know, that question goes to all these black Trump supporters, you know, the black men in particular, and the black women. So yeah, I just had to touch on this for a second, man. I just think that we can do more, we can do better. And you know, it's just a shame that more black civil rights organizations didn't have something to say about this. So let's see, I'm going to look through here real quick to see if there are any other points that I want to touch on in this particular article. So, you know, they talked about how this one leader said we had conference calls about how to support these women, how to make our voices heard. What is interesting is that black men don't do the same. We should have been coming together, raising our voices in solidarity. There are some black men involved, but we need more. And that's my whole point. There are some black men involved, but we need more. We need them to be more organized and vocalized, loud enough to be heard. That's what Barbara Online says. Not mealy mouthed and silent. And there's nothing wrong with black men speaking up. And there's nothing wrong with women and a black man in particular raising this issue. If it's a fact. If it's not true, show me all the videos of black men speaking out against this. Just post them in the comment sections or the chat, the chat room. Because I'm not aware of it. And, I regularly look at my news feed from YouTube. I'm regularly on Facebook, but I didn't see this campaign. And I think that the only way that you can rebut this particular article is by showing and proving that he's wrong, by showing and proving that there was a concerted campaign by black men to defend these black women journalists against Donald Trump. That's how you rebut this. You don't rebut this by, calling somebody a simp or calling somebody a boule or any of that stuff. You show and prove with actual evidence. And I haven't seen that evidence. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. Perhaps I missed something. So let me stop sharing my screen and see what you all are saying. Yeah, I just want to touch on this real quick. Like, protecting black women in this case doesn't mean running up on Donald Trump, trying to take him out or anything crazy like that. It just means like using your voice to speak out, man. That's all it means. We speak out on so many issues here on YouTube. Why not speak out on this? And of course, people know that Donald Trump is a racist, a sexist. He's anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim. He hates a lot of people. He has disrespect towards a lot of people. But we can't stand by and allow him to disrespect our sisters, man. That's all I'm saying. And I think that not enough of us spoke out on this issue. So let me see what y'all are saying before I sign out. Just bear with me a second. Yeah, I remember him saying that, BB, where he talked about like 50 years ago, you would be dragged out on network television. Yeah, I remember hearing him say that ridiculous stuff. Bless One said people who support him are questionable. Exactly. Yeah, I'm not shocked by anything that he says or does, Raymond Woman. Not at all. Yeah, I didn't see Yvette Carnell's live stream about this article. I saw, like, I noticed that she did a video on it, like, but I didn't get a chance to watch it myself. And I just don't have time to watch these long live streams, even though I'm doing live streams myself, but I try not to make them too long. I just don't have the time to watch those, but I may go back and check hers out to see what she had to say about it. But I think that, he raises some valid points, some legitimate points, and no, he's not some agent. No, he's not a sellout. The brother's been writing articles again for the longest time, dealing with issues that are importance to our community. Shout out to Angelique Yorks. She said she's been watching my videos. Greetings from the Netherlands. Wow. So Big Game said, no, dudes like Cortland and these goofy black feminists don't get to use Malcolm X's quotes. They would have been talking trash about Malcolm X when he was alive. Yeah, I mean, I heard similar points like that on what's his name, on Chris Miller's channel, like when he talked about this particular issue. I think that Malcolm X's quotes are valid, and you know, they are applicable here. You know, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Prove that there was some concerted effort online to speak out, you know, in support of these black women reporters. Just show me, like, where's the campaign, where's the petition, and maybe I missed it, but show it to me. That's the best way to disprove the article. You don't disprove the article by saying these women don't get to use Malcolm X's quote. And now your point about like them probably talking trash about Malcolm X, some of them probably would have. You know, I'm sure that some of them probably would have. A lot of the people that use Malcolm X's name and pretend to love him nowadays probably would be the same people criticizing him today. So, I mean, I think that that's a valid point, but it doesn't go to the merits of Cortland Malloy's article. That's the problem. And I'm not sure, like, what Yvette Carnell had to say about this. Yeah, he has another channel. So Roots asked what Chris Miller video. He has another channel called Black Up in You, and I encourage people to subscribe to it. When I get a chance, I'll post the link to the actual video that I'm referencing so that you all can subscribe to his channel. You know, I recommend that people subscribe to his channel. You know, although I don't agree with him on this particular issue, you know, I think that he produces some great content, and I encourage people to subscribe to his channel. Yeah, I see that Big Game mentioned it as well. Yeah, so I encourage people to check out his channel, subscribe to his channel. And I'm not sure what Yvette Carnell had to say about the article. I'm wondering if she said some of the same things Chris Miller had to say. If y'all can let me know in the chat room, I would appreciate it so I could, you know, respond to some of those things now live, because I didn't watch her live stream, as I said before. No, I'm not saying that voting alone equals protection, but voting is one way that we can retaliate against Donald Trump for his disrespect of black women. You know, because, you know, the best way to respond to him is to vote him out of office and to vote for people that will oppose his agenda. That's the best way to get back at Donald Trump for disrespecting our black women and just black people, period. Yeah, and I don't think that the president should just be ignored. You know, I don't think that that's how you deal with somebody that holds the most powerful office in the land. Somebody like that has to be dealt with. They have to be addressed. We have to do everything that we can to stop their agenda. I don't know why these audios keep interrupting my videos, but I want to exit out of these windows so that won't keep happening. But yeah, I don't think that we can just ignore him. I think that a reporter's job is to ask the president the tough questions and demand answers from him. Um, when that's your profession, you can't ignore the president. And we should not never ignore the president because what he does affects our lives. So we have to like stand up to him, whether that's through speaking out against him, protesting against his policies, using our ballot to vote against his agenda. We have to use every legal means available to us to resist this president and everything that he represents. All right, so John Pro said you mad at Trump for disrespecting black women, but you give Jill Scott a pass for looking disrespectful and making black women look hypersexual animals. I mean, I'm just going to respond to that comment. Even though it's ridiculous. First of all, these are two completely different subjects. Jill Scott's sexual performance is not disrespect of all black women. That's a single black woman doing a performance. We see white women, do all kinds of sexual things on stage and just sexual things in society as a whole. But those women are judged as individuals, as they should be. And, Jill Scott should be judged as an individual. Her performing, some dance, some particular routine on stage is not comparable to a president making racist statements about black women. So those are in two different categories. And to try to make those two things equivalent is ridiculous to me. It's like people are more upset with a single performance by an artist than they are with, racist statements made by the president of the United States, a man who actually exercises power and influence, a man that has the ability to use his voice to support all kinds of initiatives, use his power to, encourage Congress to pass certain legislation, a man who has military might, all kinds of power, and you're more concerned about some performance on a stage than you are with a man who actually exercises power to affect our lives. To me, that tells me how messed up your priorities are. Yeah, I think that he should have called out black conservatives as well. So I think that that's a valid point, James Hall. But I think that his point about black men is valid, because so far I haven't seen any kind of rebuttal of that point. Nobody has proven that he was wrong on that point. And I'm not sure, again, what Yvette Carnell said, what Tone, whatever his name is, had to say about it. If you all can, just provide evidence that what he was saying was wrong, then I'll listen to that. I'll take a look at that, and I would, reevaluate, my assessment in this video. I will actually take down this video if somebody can prove that there was a concerted effort by black men to stand up for black women, reporters who were disrespected by the president. Yeah, I just don't get it. Why? I mean, I agree with you, Reigning Woman. It's just ridiculous that people are so wrapped up in Jill Scott's performance. They're more concerned about that than the politics that actually shape our lives. I mean, that just tells you how messed up people's priorities are. People want to play holy, as I said in that Jill Scott video, man. When these same people engage in similar behavior behind closed doors. And some of these people, make some of the most obscene sexual comments here on YouTube, and then they want to turn around and act like they're all holy and stuff. I mean, the hypocrisy is just absolutely ridiculous. The self-righteousness is absolutely ridiculous here on YouTube. Yeah, so Lonnie One Love said, I know it may sound ignorant, but I don't listen to Trump at all. Yeah, that's something that and I understand why somebody would like to tune out when it comes to Donald Trump, like and not listen to him because he says some outrageous and stupid things. If this man wasn't president of the United States, if he didn't have all that power to affect our lives, then I wouldn't be listening to him either. I wouldn't care what he had to say. But because of his position, what he says actually matters. And that's why it's very important for us to pay attention to what this man is saying. That's why I continue to monitor, what he says, and I speak out on what he says. Yeah, I'm really interested in what Yvette Carnell had to say. I don't have time to go back and watch her live stream, so hopefully somebody can sum it up for me. But they're basically saying that she said the opposite of what I'm saying. But I need more than that to respond. So Be Conscious said, I promise you the Democrats are done. Trump has destroyed all of them. They are finished for good. First of all, that's just wrong. Your statement is wrong because the Democrats won the House by significant numbers, which means that Donald Trump is not able to advance with his legislative agenda, if he even has one. So the Democrats are not done. That's an exaggeration. In terms of whether or not they will defeat him, I don't know if they will defeat him. I'm not going to make any predictions or anything like that. But one of the biggest obstacles that they have in terms of defeating Donald Trump is the fact that the economy is doing well. Even though Donald Trump is not responsible for, the economy doing well, as I've said before, policies that Obama put into place helped, rev up the economy, helped reduce unemployment. And there's an article in Forbes magazine that points this out. So that may be the biggest obstacle to the Democrats defeating Trump in the presidential election. His biggest touting point will be the state of the economy. And when when a lot of people see that their money hasn't been affected by Donald Trump, or that they, are employed, they're going to point to Donald Trump as being responsible for that, even though he's not. And that may impact the election. So I would not be surprised if Donald Trump is, if he wins re-election. I hope that is not what happens. This man has proven himself to be incompetent. He's proven himself to be an utter buffoon and a clown, and he does not deserve another 4 years. I hope he doesn't get another 4 years, and I frankly hope that he's impeached. So I don't know if you're right about Trump not being defeated. I think that it's an exaggeration to say that it will never happen. You know, his loss during the midterms proved that it's very possible that he may be defeated. Yeah, so Be Conscious said Trump is more bold than Obama. I mean, how is that a good? I mean, how are you making that some kind of good trait? Trump is an asshole, man. Trump has no respect for anybody or anything. This man, disrespects the White House. This man has made disrespectful comments about veterans, as I pointed out, insults reporters, tries to ban reporters. He regularly responds to people. He's overly sensitive. you know, he's a bully. You know, he's a sexist. He's a racist. He's a xenophobic person. You know, he's anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant. There's nothing good about this guy. The fact that he doesn't give a damn about anything or anybody is not a plus. You know, of course, when you have that kind of I don't give a fuck type of attitude, you're gonna be bold and stuff like that. But I don't think that that's a good thing. It's bad for this country. Everything that he represents is bad for this country. And I don't understand how somebody by the name of Be Conscious will be in the comment section, low key cheerleading for Trump. All right, but let me continue on. Yeah, it is weak to ask why don't women stand up to the president. I mean, in a way, like to say, well, women alone should stand up for the president. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying here. I've been saying that black men need to stand up to the president for the way he disrespected black women. But I also think that black women should as well. I don't think that any black woman in their right mind should be walking around here with a Donald Trump hat on, supporting Donald Trump. Um, all right, so hold on one second. Man, it's like people's priorities are all messed up, man. It's like people making a big deal about Jill Scott, but yet they're caping for Donald Trump. I mean, how does that make any kind of sense, man? And how is Jill Scott even relevant in this conversation? So I'm going to just ignore those comments about Jill Scott going forward. So I know I'm kind of behind on these comments, but I've explained like how black men can stand up for those black women journalists. Shout out to Lola Jones. Yeah, just make sure you vote in 2020. Yeah, so I'm glad um, that you will vote in 2020 for the first time. You know, it's never too late to start voting. Um, you know, regardless of the reasons that people didn't vote in the past, you can change all that today by registering to vote and by actually voting in the next election. Okay, so Obsidian is here. Shout out to you. So you said you asked when am I going to go on your show to debate all of this? And Obsidian says I'm a proud Republican and Trump supporter. Bring it on. Well, I put out a challenge to people earlier today. I said that I'm doing a live stream at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be happy to debate you then. You know, I'll be happy to debate you on my platform. And unlike these other platforms or whatever, we can have a one-on-one debate. And unlike what happened when I was on your thing, it'll just be me and you debating those issues. So I challenge you to debate me tonight at 6 p.m. You know, so if you're interested, I'm gonna put my email address in this chat room. You can copy it. And well, you already have my email address because you sent me emails before, but I'm gonna put it here again so that you can email me and let me know if you're available. This is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can just email me, let me know if you're available, and I'll send you the link to the live hangout at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we can debate about Donald Trump. Because I don't understand how any rational black man could support Donald Trump. And I'll be happy to go into details during the debate. I won't go through it now, but yeah, I challenge you. When I went on your program, and I wasn't familiar with your setup, as I said in my last live stream. I didn't know there'd be all these people calling in and all these people trying to double team me and all that kind of stuff. I mean, back when I grew up, it was considered weak to have your boys jump in your fight. And, for a whole bunch of people to bum rush one person, that was a sign of weakness, a sign of cowardice. Back then people would take on people one-on-one. And that's what I challenge you to, a one-on-one debate about these issues. On my channel, I'll treat you with respect. I won't use insults and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want a situation where you got these random clowns jumping in, chiming in and all that kind of stuff. We could have a one-on-one debate if you're up for it. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll send you the link so that we can debate this. And I would go back on your program if I had your word that you wouldn't have, if you could just have a one-on-one dialogue with me, a one-on-one debate. And after we're done with that debate, you can have your people chime in after I'm off of the show. But in terms of the actual debate, it has to be a one-on-one debate if you're serious about a debate. Now, if you want to clown people and talk over people and, and all that kind of stuff and have a whole bunch of people double team and triple team, I'm not with none of that stuff. And that's cowardice to me. That's weak to me. But anyway, my email address is there. You have my email address. Just let me know if you're down with it. And we can make it happen tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to show this article right now. I'm going to do a quick Google search to pull up this Forbes article that talks about how Obama is responsible for the state of the economy right now. Just bear with me 1 second. Hopefully I can pull it up real quick. Because that's their main selling point that they raise about Donald Trump. Let me see if I can find it on my Facebook page. I don't want to hold y'all up too long. Just bear with me a second. I'm looking on my Facebook page now. Hopefully I can pull it up. I may just have to post it in the comment section or in the description box. Bear with me a second. Yeah, I'm gonna have to post it in the description box. I don't want to hold y'all up too long, or in the comment section. Shout out to Garage Autonomous. All right, so Obsidian said we can do a one-on-one over at my place too after tonight. Yeah, we can do that. If you're willing to do, have a one-on-one debate on my channel, I can have a one-on-one debate on your channel. We can do that. I'm willing to do that. I just don't want these clowns popping in the middle of the debate. I'll be happy to get off after we have our exchange, and you can have whoever you want, as you always do on your channel. But in terms of the actual debate, if it's one-on-one, then I'm with that. We can do that. Because I'll be interested in knowing like how you can rationalize your support for Donald Trump as a black man. I don't understand. I really don't. Peace to you, reigning woman. So yeah, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Uh, Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content. Peace.